Hey there, YouTube. This is mostly going to be about toys on my desk. One of those episodes. I'm going to be showing the jitterbug, and this weaves in and out of my YouTubes. I don't always show it. I'll talk about it and not show it. I'll show animations. But there is sort of this classic vector flexor that you could buy on the internet, and it does this transformation. And then the two other toys, both of which I've shared recently. This little pyramid or tetrahedron just full of beads. Rattle, rattle, right? I'm going to talk about that a bit. But before I go any further, one more. I want to just get the gem show going. So, what I'm going to do, since I'm talking about toys and stuff in the foreground, but I want to have something fun to look at local place based education. And the first few pictures are for context, right? And then I'm going to roll forward in time. This is when Carol was downtown very recently. And I just made a video, so look at the last episode before this. I also discussed that particular picture, and I take us back to the crowbar. That's spelled with a K, and it's a pun on Kroger's. But now I'm in the Hollywood neighborhood, which is a whole different neighborhood. And all these little guys on the wall, this is a Laughing Planet restaurant. That looks like Stalin to me. Am I wrong? But then painted. But then all the statues have the same look. And you wonder what comic book is this anyway? And then there's the dinosaur. And that turns out to be a political cartoon, somehow involving GMOs. But the dinosaurs are here, that kind of thing. Anyway, good place. And this is the remodeled convention center. So now that I've set the stage here, I'm going to talk a little bit about toys and keep rolling forward with the pictures and explain maybe towards the end what's going on in the pictures. So while that's happening, let me introduce the third toy, which is the rhombic dodecahedron here, and this is a space filler. It was admired by Kepler quite a bit, and we do a lot to dissect it. In this one, it's made out of magnets, magnetic components, which we call mites, M-I-T-E, for minimum tetrahedron. Now, what tetrahedrons fill space all by themselves without left or right-handedness, that kind of thing? That was a mathematician named Somerville who undertook that investigation, and he was helped by Goldberg, Michael Goldberg, right? With some embellishments, additions. And so Goldberg comes up in elsewhere in our story too with relation to geodesic spheres, viruses, the shape of the viral capsid. Now, in the background, back to the show going on. Yes, it's a gem show. We're at an annual gem show, and Glenn has a spare ticket, and he kindly lets me come along. And these Russian dolls were a highlight. I don't remember if I've seen them there before, but they were fantastic. And these were wonderful. I'm pretty much like a photographer. I mean, what I do in this YouTube channel a lot is just exactly what you see me doing at the moment, which is flash through pictures I've taken recently. It's just kind of a humble way to share my day, but the days are interesting, I have to admit. This was very good booth. So this is the same space, by the way, where all those OSCON pictures come from. In other words, I'm in the same hall where the OSCON booths set up and do their thing. And I've been to quite a few of those, and even PyCon came through. So Portland is blessed with a good convention center, recently facelifted, which meant adding more rust, it seems, on purpose. And interesting place. Very big hotel just created next to it, so there was criticism that there weren't enough hotel rooms, but now it looks like there are. Anyway, I'm just talking about the local sort of chatter about, are we a destination city? Oh, let me go back to those. Okay. So, good segue. Polyhedra. These were, okay, so what do they call it? Shungite? Okay. What was interesting was the tetrahedron and cube had the relationship I was looking for, i.e., the edge of the tetrahedron was the diagonal of the cube, like that. And along the same lines, let's see, which direction are we going here? There was another one I'll come to and stop at and finish up with the toys here. Wonderful stuff, huh? I'm no expert on gems. So it's not for me to give you the very informed patter about what on earth everything is, right? It's like I don't know everything. But so what we want you to see is that each one of these little beads in this close packed conformation filling this tetrahedron, each one of these beads could be inside one of these, made much smaller, of course, so that it shrinks around each bead could have a casing around it, this casing. And the same bead pattern, you can use it to make this fully open cube octahedron. And if you push down a little bit, this starts to turn into an icosahedron, right? That's what we call the jitterbug transformation. So I just wanted to weave together some of those themes. And you might ask, why again do we do any of this? It's kind of like working out. It's like those Jane Fonda workout tapes. This is kind of what we think of as right brain rationality, you might say. It's like there's ABCs, there's arithmetic, but what do you want to do in terms of thinking about just abstractions? And we do something called the concentric hierarchy, which involves some numbers, some shapes, some transformations, some relationships. I'm going to end, by the way, by showing an interesting book. This guy came through on Hawthorne. He was at the local Powell, the author, Mark Satin. Radical Middle. Now, this is not a new book at this point. Like, this goes back quite a ways, and I think I've maybe pushed it before, if not on my vlogs, if not on YouTube or whatever, than earlier in my blogs, which I do have several blogs out there. You might want to look for them. World Game, Control Room, Bismo Diaries, Coffee Shops Network. All right, we'll talk more in the next video. This was somewhat continuous with the last one, as you can see with the opening pictures. Let me just finish though with the gem show here. Little skulls. You know, I'm not taking always pictures of super expensive things. Like there were some wow things there that cost a lot, and then there were lots of very low, affordable cost things. You could make relationships with these people, and they could, continue to feed you stuff. And these shells, Glenn knew what they were called. Actually found a pair that he could afford. He's a very good investor. Shark's teeth, fossil shark's teeth. So if you've been to shows like this, it's like, ho hum, you've all seen them. There's the Duotech cubes again. But if you've never been to one, then it's worth going. We ended up, back out across the street from the convention center, which is there, showing it to you. Those orange bikes in the foreground, those are a fairly new feature of Portland. That's back to what Glenn purchased. So I'm showing you what he found and decided to collect next to my hazy. Now those sand dollars, fossilized sand dollars, excellent specimens. That's just natural. And there's the two halves of a shell fossilized. Good specimens. Glad to go with Glenn because he knows this stuff really well, whereas I'm just an amateur tagged along. And this, by the way, had to do with the manga con, the dressed up people, that is. All right, we'll see you next time. Talk to you later.